Dirk Nowitzki, the only Mavericks superstar to lead the franchise to their only championship. Luka had an opportunity to add to that, but got dominated by the Celtics, losing in 5 games, which brings into question, how do the Mavs upgrade their roster to make it back to the finals? So Luka Doncic has drawn a lot of comparisons to LeBron James in terms of play style, but also both of them losing their first ever NBA finals. And Luka Doncic, how is he going to bounce back from this? How is the Mavericks going to bounce back this from overall is the big question here. But we'll start off by unpacking their playoff run and a pretty successful season for the Mavericks in terms of they answered a lot of questions that they were facing, especially after the Kyrie Irving trade and missing the play-in spot from a playoff spot originally.
Yeah, so obviously during the year, people were questioning, does Kyrie and Luka work, right? Because 2 ISO-heavy players. And there were ups and downs with it. Obviously, it helps when you draft Derek Lively and you go out and make trades like PJ Washington and Daniel Gafford. And obviously, we're seeing the playoff run. What Kyrie and Luka could do on their own, whoever's cooking, just give them the ball, whatever the case may be. Kyrie acknowledged that it is Luka's team, right? At the end of the day, for me, it's a successful season. Whenever we do our tier list, it's probably going to be an S tier still, even though they got destroyed in the finals.
And that run from March was absolutely incredible, right? But in order to answer this big question of can Luka Doncic win with the Mavericks, we gotta take a look at the Mavericks as a whole.
Yeah.
And how do the Mavericks upgrade this squad like how they did in the trade deadline? And what do they really need?
How did they upgrade? First of all,
because before you go, I'm going to say this. They need to pounce on this now because Kyrie
is 32.
Yeah. Right? They have the hard part of the roster construction done in having not 1, but 2 players that could, that are kind of franchise players. Essentially, you could describe them as franchise players, 2 players that are superstar level players. So they have the hard part done. And filling out the roster around them, they kind of did that at the trade deadline. But how do they excel at that even more?
First off, internally, That's they have question, right now. They have internally. I want to go back to Luka Doncic, as I was saying in the playoffs. Listen, they did not lose the finals because of Luka Doncic. They did not lose it because of just Kyrie Irving. Yes, Kyrie Irving struggled a lot in Boston. Don't get me wrong, but you mentioned it before in their last NBA episode that Kyrie and Boston just don't mix.
They don't mix,
right?
It's like water and oil.
On the other hand, for me, they picked on him a lot. Now, how much of that is his injury? Because remember, he was questionable for game. He was downgraded to questionable, I think, for game 2, and you saw him bandaged up before tip-off and all that, right?
He almost looked like a mummy.
Yeah.
That's how much he was bandaged up.
How much is that his injury? How much is that his defense? We saw his defense improve a little bit during the year, but his defense was called out by Jason Kidd in game 3. He acknowledged that. He went off in game 4. You could tell he made improvements. But the other thing I want to see, this is his first final experience. He's still a young guy. I want to see improvement on Luka is, listen, you can't be whining to the refs every single call.
Yeah.
It's frustrating to watch as a viewer, as much as you're a fan. I understand you may be getting fouled. I say the same thing about LeBron James. Many people's GOAT, right? Some people's GOAT, I don't know how many people want to view it, right? But this generation's GOAT for a lot of younger people, right? And I get annoyed watching Lakers games because he does the same thing, and then you lose your defensive assignment.
Yeah,
and then you're complaining to the ref even more, or you're saying, like, why did you not cover, right? And LeBron's a better defender than Luka's. In this case, Luka's not even like at LeBron's level defensively to lock down when he's locked in, right? So for me, before you go, that's the number one thing I need to look at. Luka needs to learn from this final. Brian Windhorst went off on him after game 3, right?
Yeah.
Everything, you guys could just check the clip. I'm not going to paraphrase what he said, but what he said was spot on. Like, he went off on him. And everything is true. And even Jason Kidd said,
facts are facts.
There's a hole on defense, and you cannot be that hole, right?
It's simple.
So his defense needs to improve, and his whining needs to cut down, because even watching Canada versus Slovenia during the World Cup, I'm like, damn, you can't be doing this every single play. Some of it is foul baiting, some of it is true fouls. I get that. So that's number 1 for me. You want to say anything to that first?
Yeah. So what I'm gonna add on to we didn't mention this in the Celtics video, which is the latest one on how they won, how dominant was their run. And you could check that out after this one. But what I'm going to say right now is, the Celtics improved externally. They added pieces, right? But you know what they did internally? Is that the players looked themselves in the mirror. And that was Jaylen Brown, right? He went in the offseason, right? He fixed up his game. right? He worked, right? He prepared himself better for this upcoming season, led to an NBA title. Luka Doncic is not the perfect player. He just isn't. There is a weakness to his game. Jaylen Brown had a weakness. He went and fixed in the offseason. And Luka Doncic is gonna need to fix it in the offseason. And personally, like that's how you're gonna internally get better. Is when your superstar needs to work on his defensive game. And what's gonna benefit Luka? It might hurt him in terms injury wise, but he is going to Olympics, I believe, right?
Well, so he hasn't said that. He said he has to make decisions. I think they have to qualify first. So
they have to qualify first?
They have to the qualifying tournament.
Yeah, so if that happens, that benefits him. That gives him more opportunities to play some basketball.
He said he needs to get healthy. Those may not even.
So who knows that? No. But overall, like if Luka just focus on his health and focus on getting better defense, right? And that will just improve him so much more. And we already know how good Luka is. Like him, Luka at his lowest is still a superstar player. That's how good Luka, that's how big of a talent he is. So that's how they internally get better, is when your main guy is not going to be the defensive hole because you can't take him off. You can't take Luka off.
Yeah.
What can you do, right? Like, you can't bench Luka, so that's the other way. You're just going to be allowing points at this rate.
So at this point, so going back to that, that's part one of my answer.
Yeah.
Next part is, listen, I don't know if they have not the necessary cap space even, but the general assets. They used a bunch of their picks on Kristaps Porzingis.
That is true.
So they used some of it on Kyrie Irving, but thankfully for some, Kyrie Irving wasn't as expensive.
This is getting a little bit externally. What can they add now? Right, that's what we're trying to.
They need a Mikal Bridges type.
That's what I was going to say. OG Anunoby's a free agent.
Again, can you afford it?
Can you afford it? We don't know. But
and the other thing, internally as well, Derek Lively should level up.
Oh yeah, that rookie is. Yeah, no, he was incredible in his rookie year, right? Like his future is very.
But outside of Derek Lively emerging, I don't know what the contract situation is. Again, this is right after the NBA Finals. We filmed this, so
yeah, we haven't looked at that Mavs offseason outlook.
Yeah, offseason outlook.
This is just like
they
doing right now.
Defensively, they need to be better because look, listen, they need a third guy like a Drew Holiday type, not defensively even, just like someone like Porzingis. Ironic to say that they had Porzingis.
Yeah.
But like a third scorer in a way, if you're gonna go against a team like Boston Celtics, who have a lot of defensive firepower in their top six positions.
All six, yeah.
6 positions.
6.
Right? And 3 of them could score. 4 of them could score. 5 of them could score. Except Al Horford, let's just say.
Yeah.
Right?
And honestly, he scored a few too.
True, but like I'm not gonna put him as.
Yeah, no, obviously. But when you looked at the Mavericks, like what did I say about the Mavericks coming into it? Is like the main reason why they're going to win this series, obviously, if Luka and Kyrie pop off, which is the obvious reason. But the underrated reason why the Mavs playoff run was so good is that they were such a good 3-point shooting team, right?
You like their defense as well.
And obviously, the defense was, they improved a lot.
But struggled in the finals.
They struggled in the finals, but why they struggled? Because when they were still getting their points.
Yeah.
Right? So they don't have to go extra hard on defense, right? But with Celtics being so good defensively, their 3-point shot, which is one of their main identities, and also the alley-oop play that they always run to Gafford or Lively, whoever is their center, did not work. And that puts a lot more pressure on their defense, which is their weak suit, right? That's the
weak spot.
Weak spot, yeah, not suit. Their weak spot, right? Their strength is offense, but that was taken away from them. That's why their defense lacked so much too.
Yeah.
Much more pressure was put on that.
So for me, listen, can this team win with Luka? Like, can Luka win this with this team? We have to see what the offseason outlook is gonna be. My answer is yes, because you have Luka and you have Kyrie for at least 2 more years, if I'm not mistaken. But the thing is, the team that just played.
That's what you got.
Jason Tatum. No, I'm just saying Jason Tatum lost in the NBA Finals. The Boston Celtics came out, made the next year they've missed, right? Then this year when they won it, they added Drew Holiday and Kristaps Porzingis. Right, that's what they gotta. They have to take that approach, or
do they gotta make the moves now, or do they have to wait 1 year?
I think they need to add a defensive stalwart on that team.
You gotta add a number of
actual lockdown, because I don't think Derek Jones in general is a lockdown defender.
He's not.
PJ Washington is
not either.
Defender. So if you could somehow pry in OG Anunoby, I don't know if they.
That's a perfect fit.
Tim Hardaway is expensive for them too.
I don't know how they're gonna get rid of that. That would be the key. If they could get rid of Tim Hardaway somehow.
Yeah, because he's struggling in the finals and game 4.
But like a 3-and-D type of OG.
They need another 1 or 2 3-and-D guys.
Like if you get a 3-and-D level of an OG Anunoby, you could just add some random 3-and-D guy that could just like.
And maybe add shooters in general.
Yeah, but overall, like their struggle was on the 3-point line, right? Like I think they went like I don't even know what they won in Game 5 of the NBA Finals, but it was really bad. It was almost the Rockets missing 27.
Well, at the same time, you don't want to be scared and be, everybody thought the Suns might be back, and they haven't been back. But they at least made out moves and made a Kevin Durant trade.
And they got worse. They
messed up by trading for Bradley Beal.
They got worse. Yeah, essentially.
So
how do, it's a tough spot, right? Like,
I would say the first year make some minor moves that could help you overall.
Yeah, but
like what the Denver Nuggets have done.
Yeah.
Right? Because at the end of the day, you're in the Western Conference. When we talked about the dynasty, about the Boston Celtics in that last episode,
they're in the East.
They're in the East. Milwaukee is the main team, but yes, teams like the Knicks might emerge,
and Pacers
might emerge, and all that. But here, you already have the Nuggets.
Yeah.
You have the Timberwolves and what they have shown. The Clippers, as long as they're healthy, should be better. I'm hoping the Lakers are the same way because, again, they're going to be competitive.
We'll just straight up say it right now.
The Thunder.
There's at least 11 teams.
Because we're putting the Spurs in there too.
11 teams, maybe 12, right? Spurs being the maybe 12.
Yeah.
11 teams that have a genuine shot of making a playoffs.
Yeah.
In the Western Conference.
So, and there's only 10 play-in spots. There's 10 spots to have a chance at the 8 playoff spots.
Yeah.
Right? So
it's tough already.
I would say yes.
Okay, if you run this roster back right now, can this roster make the
NBA Finals?
NBA Finals.
Can they? Sure, because they did it this year. But will they, in my opinion? No.
But you got to also look at it this way, right? They got a little bit lucky too.
That's what I'm saying.
Right? Like
OKC.
You got OKC
young.
You got OKC when they were young.
Yeah.
Don't be the 1 seed. And then you got Clippers when Kawhi was hurt.
That. You also have Phoenix, who might be better now.
And then you got Nuggets, who are eliminated. You didn't have to face the big juggernaut because the Timberwolves did the dirty work for you.
Yeah.
And then you beat the Timberwolves.
And then I think Phoenix will be better. That's just me.
Yeah.
I'm hoping my Lakers will be better. So, and then you have an emerging Wemby. So, out of nowhere. That's out of nowhere.
It feels like I just feel like they have an opportunity to pounce right now because
Kyrie has 2 more years.
Yeah, that's why. Because of Kyrie Irving. Him being 32.
So, so you answer your own question here. Can Luka win with this with the Mavericks leading the franchise, or do you think it has to be a LeBron thing before he comes back?
Going to Slovenia, he's Slovenian, right? Or Slovakian?
Slovenia
has to go to some Slovenian media saying, I'm gonna take my talents to South Beach and all that stuff. It might take that for Luka to win his first NBA title, right? But the difference between him and Tatum is that
Tatum had a strong
team, and the Celtics manager and group has been excellent, right? From ever since 2008, how they were just thinking about the future and somehow finessed the Brooklyn Nets. The Mavericks are a good front office team. They have a good front office.
Well, they showed it this year.
They showed it this year that they have a good front office, and they finally surrounded Luka with something. But the issue is a lot of onus is on Luka, whereas on Tatum right now, the pressure is a little bit off Tatum because his teammates could do some of the work.
Pressure's on me.
If Luka plays good, that's when the Mavs win. If Luka plays bad, that's when the Mavs lose. It's just simple.
Pressure is on Luka now because Tatum won a ring. That's number one.
That's all my answers right now.
Yeah, so that's added. Now it is. Pressure's added now because of that. Pressure, again, Tatum was in the conference finals almost every other year on average.
That's true. He's been back there
at the minimum.
Yeah, no, he's shown. This is the first time we've seen the Mavs really.
But at the end of the day,
really threaten to win an NBA title. This is the first time we saw the Mavericks do it.
Can this current squad do it? Yes, if they add a couple of pieces, I believe so. The 3-and-D pieces, because you have Derek Lively. If Daniel Gafford is a free agent, I'm sure you could find some type of replacement. If not, some of these guys might take a pay cut to play with Luka. On the flip side, even if it is after Kyrie, I'm sure you'll be able to find another star to pair with Luka even better than Kyrie Irving. That's just my opinion. But if you're saying this current squad, add the main focus is.
Here's the thing.
Let's just say the big three is. Let's want to say the big three is Luka, Kyrie, and I want to say Derek Lively. I think those three are gonna stay for at least the next 2 years. Can you add solid 3-and-D pieces, or a mix of both, and make that work?
Take this squad, and add OG Anunoby to it. What changes for you? Would they be? Are they gonna be? Are they gonna be the bona fide top contenders of the West going into next season if they add OG Anunoby? Because coming into the season this year, I don't think anyone really considered them as a bona fide NBA title contender.
No,
right?
Because they missed the playoffs the year before.
Exactly. But
if they had OG Anunoby, healthy,
I think they're a bona fide title contender.
Yes,
next year
because they're in the finals this year.
Exactly, and that's what they're missing right now. A little bit of defense, a little bit of 3-point shooting, And OG Anunoby can get a bucket himself too.
We're
right?
doing wishful thinking. We don't think OG is.
Yeah, no, we're not saying OG Anunoby is going to the Mavericks, right, or anything. Like, it might not even work out contract wise, right? Because OG could get a bag himself, because that's how good OG is, right? And that's how many teams could want him.
Yeah.
But that's like the only big solution we really have for the Mavericks. And if they do add something like that, it's a 2-year window, right? It depends on what happened in this 2 years. In this 2 years, I think Luka has. I don't think Luka doesn't have 2 years, but the Mavericks have 2 years, right? And if they don't do anything in 2 years, or if they don't show any signs of continuity and consistency
and improvements
and subtle improvements, obviously you can't really improve much more than being in an NBA final by just winning.
Well, you can't regress a lot either.
You can't regress, right? Like the Celtics still stayed there.
Yeah.
Right? If you could stay there still, be at that level, so you've shown that you could be at that level, that's what will keep Luka and the Mavericks together.
So one thing...
They need these next 2 years to be like that. But if they don't, I could see a world where Luka Doncic will win his NBA title in South Beach.
If he even...
In South Beach.
Yeah,
somewhere else.
The other key caveat I'm going to put this on out here is, which Kyrie Irving are we going to get? Are we going to get the Boston-Brooklyn Kyrie Irving, or are we going to get that early Cleveland, now Dallas Kyrie Irving?
I mean, right now it's looking like now Dallas.
It should be. I mean, we're going to give him the benefit of the doubt.
Because the issue is when he left Cleveland, that's when he became that Kyrie Irving.
Yeah.
He's coming back to Dallas.
Yeah.
That's so that answers my question for that. But can Luka Doncic win the title in the Dallas Mavericks? I think it's going to take one big offseason move for them to do it. I think they're one move away. If they could find a way to pull that off, I would guarantee a yes. Almost. Like I'll be 90% sure.
Package him and Joel Embiid together then.
That'll be crazy.
Somewhere.
They'll just make their own big three somewhere else. But overall, at this current moment, at this current stage, obviously a lot of onus has to go on Luka and him improving his game a little bit more, especially on the defensive side. With this current squad, I'm not fully confident that Luka Doncic could win the title without the Dallas Mavericks with this current squad.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's fair. Comment your guys' thoughts down below. And make sure you guys hit the subscribe button and click on our faces for 2 videos that are popping up. And make sure you guys check out our Celtics review as well. And we'll catch you guys on the next one.
Peace.